Welcome to Education AI Parixes. Today we explore cognitive views of learning in schools, a perspective that shifts focus from observable learning behaviors to inner mental processes of the students. Instead of passive recipients, learners are seen as active meaning makers. सामेइन आज हम बात करेंगे कॉग्निटिव व्यूज़ ऑफ लर्निंग की, जो तलबा को सिर्फ पैसिव लर्नर नहीं बल्कि एक्टिव मीनिंग मेकर्स के तौर पर देखते हैं। इन नज़रियात के मुताबिक तलबा जो है वो अपने लिए मानी की तश्कील खुद करते हैं। Core concepts of cognitive learning. In this section, we will talk about 3 core concepts of cognitive views about learning. Number 1 is information processing model. In this model, human mind works like a computer, that is, input, process, store and retrieval. इंसानी जहन को एक कंप्यूटर की तरह काम करते हुए समझा जाता है, जिसमें कि वो इनपुट लेता है, उसको प्रोसेस करता है, उसको दरकार मुद्दत के लिए स्टोर रखता है और जब चाहें उसमें से तैयारशुदा और स्टोर मालूमात को अखज़ किया जा सकता है। इस मॉडल के 3 अहम हिस्से हैं। नंबर 1 इज़ सेंसरी मेमोरी विच होल्ड्स stimuli very briefly. Then there is working memory which can store up to 5 to 9 items, and long term memory which is permanent storage. Retrieval depends on meaningful learning. इंसानी जहन में भी इसी तरह जो कुछ हम हवास से मालूमात हासिल करते हैं वो चंद लम्हात के लिए या बहुत जब तक हम उनको होल्ड करना चाहें वो रहती हैं, लेकिन जब तक हम उन पर काम कर रहे होते हैं तो सेंसेस से जो मालूमात हासिल होती हैं वो कुछ देर तक हमारे जहन में मौजूद रहती हैं, लेकिन फिर नई हवास के ज़रिए नई इनपुट आ जाती है। वर्किंग मेमोरी दरअसल चंद उन वर्किंग स्पेस पे मुश्तमिल है जिसमें हम 5 से 9 मुख्तलिफ़ किस्म के मालूमात पर एक वक्त में गौर कर सकते हैं, कभी कम कभी ज़्यादा, कभी साउंड पे, कभी विजन पे, कभी सेंसेस पे। तो ये 5 तो हवास होते हैं, लेकिन उनमें से भी उन हवास से के नतीजे में जो इनपुट रिसीव होती है उसको हम वर्किंग मेमोरी में तश्कील करते हैं और फिर उससे हमारे जहन के अंदर ये समझा जाता है इस मॉडल के ज़रिए कि हम फिर अपने जहन के हाफजे को तश्कील देते हैं, जहाँ कुछ याददाश्त या हाफजा काम करता है और वो चंद अशार, इमेजेस, अल्फाज, मानी इस तरह वो स्टोर हो जाते हैं। फार्मूलाज, फॉर एग्जांपल क्वाड्रेटिक इक्वेशन का फार्मूला वो याद रह जाता है। तो ये इंफॉर्मेशन प्रोसेसिंग मॉडल कहलाता है। कॉग्निटिव व्यू ऑफ लर्निंग का दूसरा एक बुनियादी तस्वुर स्कीमेटा थ्योरी है। अकॉर्डिंग टू स्कीमेटा थ्योरी, नॉलेज इज़ ऑर्गेनाइज्ड इनटू स्कीमाज, मेंटल फाइलिंग सिस्टम। नॉलेज स्कीमाज में ऑर्गेनाइज होता है जैसे ज़हनी फाइलिंग सिस्टम। इसमें 3 बुनियादी तस्वुरात हैं: असिमिलेशन, अकोमोडेशन और इक्विलिब्रेशन। असिमिलेशन से मुराद ये है कि मौजूदा स्कीमा में नई इंफॉर्मेशन को फिट किया जाए, टू फिट न्यू इंफॉर्मेशन इनटू द एग्जिस्टिंग स्कीमा। अकोमोडेशन से मुराद है कि मौजूद स्कीमा को तब्दील किया जाए या नए स्कीमा बनाए जाएं। इक्विलिब्रेशन वो तवाज़ुन है जो कि असिमिलेशन और अकोमोडेशन के दरमियान की तब्दीली के दरमियान पैदा होता है। द थर्ड कंपोनेंट और द बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ कॉग्निटिव व्यू ऑफ लर्निंग इज़ मेटाकॉग्निशन. Metacognition means thinking about thinking. Students plan, monitor and evaluate their own learning. मेटाकॉग्निशन का मतलब है कि सोचने पर सोचना, यानी अपने मालूमात, अपनी समझ, अपनी सोच के बारे में खुद से उसको बेहतर बनाने की, उसके मानी को जानने की, वो कैसे तश्कील पा रही है, इस पे गौर करने को मेटाकॉग्निशन कहते हैं। मेटाकॉग्निशन कॉग्निटिव व्यू का एक बहुत ही अहम जुज़ है और इसकी अहमियत तालीम के अंदर बहुत ज़्यादा है। हर इंसान और हर तालिब इल्म अगर अपनी मेटाकॉग्निटिव स्किल्स डेवलप करे, जिसमें कि प्लानिंग करना, मॉनिटर करना, अपनी थिंकिंग को, अपनी लर्निंग को खुद से एवेलुएट करना, वो उसकी जो लर्निंग स्कूल में होनी है वो काफ़ी हद तक बेहतर हो जाती है। कॉग्निटिव व्यूज़ ऑफ लर्निंग consist of four major theoretical perspectives. The first is Jean Piaget's cognitive development. Jean Piaget, a French physiologist and psychologist, has described human cognitive development in four stages, which are age-based. First stage is sensory motor, where learning takes place through senses, and the first stage is characterized by the object permanence. The second stage is called pre-operational stage, which is from 2 years to 7 years of age, in which symbolic thinking occurs. Egocentrism is the main characteristic of this stage of learning. Similarly, third stage is pre-operational stage, which is from 7 years to 11 years. The initial logical reasoning takes place with concrete situations and objects. In this concrete operational stage, as the name shows, it deals with the concrete situations, physical situations, and concrete objects. The thinking is limited, the logical reasoning is limited only to concrete situations and objects. The fourth and final stage of cognitive development, which starts at 11 years of age, about 11 years of age, and continues till maturity or continues later on. This is called formal operations stage or formal operational stage. In this stage, human mind is capable of abstract reasoning, metacognition, thinking about not only about concrete, physical, and mental objects, but also about ideas, laws, principles, good and bad, good and evil. Like these are the abstract thinking concepts which do not physically exist, but human mind can think about. These are called formal operations. So these are the cognitive development stages. These have dominated the education field for a very long time, and they are very influential. This theory is very influential and it's essential part of any talk, any description of cognitive views of learning. Another major theoretical perspective was given by Jerome Bruner, another psychologist. He talked about modes of representations. An active mode involves learning by doing, learning by experience, learning by physical involvement into acquiring concepts. Concepts are not just a mental process, but they have an active doing part. The third mode of representation is iconic, learning through images. If we can talk about triangles, but if we draw that image, that triangle is different from circle, then we learn the difference between all closed shapes are not triangles, but they may be circle and they may be rectangles or others. So learning through images is called iconic mode of representation. Then there is symbolic mode of representation. We learn through language and symbols. For example, a concept is a word, but it has so many different meanings. So learning through language is another form. School curriculum should revisit the concepts they are talking about at deeper levels. So the Jerome Bruner's ideas of modes of representation involves learning by doing, learning through images, and learning through language and symbols. and concepts at deeper level are very important. Another theoretical perspective is Liv Vygotsky's social cognitivism. Liv Vygotsky is a psychologist who has contributed to cognitive view of learning by giving social cognitivism. He has talked about four concepts. ZPD means zone of proximal development. There is a gap between independent ability and guided learning. And when the independent ability is not present, learning cannot take place with telling or doing. So there is a zone when proximal learning will take place, and that is related to age and experience of the child and his perspectives. So there is a zone of development, zone of learning, in which the human cognitive abilities also develop, and then they learn by through the guide from the books and from the talks and from the teacher, from the interaction. So this concept of zone of proximal development is very important for education, and it's also very important in the cognitive theory view of learning. Then Liv Vygotsky emphasized knowledgeable others, more knowledgeable others. Sometimes teachers, peers, or tools guide the learning. For example, if you are talking about a vernier caliper, which is a tool to measure various lengths and thickness and everything, so these are social aspects also. So learning is dependent upon more knowledgeable other. MOK means the teacher or the peer or the parents or the community or the culture, and sometimes the books, the computers, the library, or the tools, they also help the student to learn. Then in social cognitivism, language is also very important, and language is central to thought development. The importance of language has never been denied. Learning a language in itself is a miraculous phenomena of human mind, and how it takes place is another matter. But this is social. Language is a social phenomena. We learn that language from other people, not from the books, but from other people. And then the culture. The culture is the way of living in a social setup. So school is an institution where teachers and students and administrators and examiners, so many people shape the cognition of the discipline or the doors or the buildings. This all shape the learning of the thing. Lev Vygotsky has pointed out very important aspects of this social cognitivism, and these are the four things: ZPD, more knowledgeable others, which include teachers, peers, and parents, community, language, and the culture. Culture is the way people live and in a society. So these all four elements are also very important for cognitive view of learning. Now, in the fourth core contributor is Albert Bandura. He said cognitive theory of learning. The work of Albert Bandura, Lev Vygotsky are similar. Albert Bandura has emphasized observational learning. We learn the model behavior. We see that this is the way of model speaking. So observational learning takes place. We learn the language by other people, and we learn many things by observing others, how another person learns by repeating or whatever. So observational learning is another component of social cognitive theory. Self-efficacy, belief in one's ability. You will learn when you feel that you can learn it. Self-efficacy is idea about one's own ability and capabilities. Then reciprocal determinism, interaction of behavior, cognition, and environment. The behavior of the individual, his mind, and his environment, the teachers, the peers, the society, they all help. This is called reciprocal determinism. Man is a product of his environment. Then fourth is self-regulation. In this theory, individual sets his goals and reflects on them and sees whether he is doing good or right, or he is moving, progressing. So self-regulation is also a very important component of cognitive views of learning. Teachers can apply cognitive theories through practical strategies that make learning durable and transferable. For this purpose, activating prior knowledge is very important. Chunking is very important. Graphic organizers are very important. Scaffolding means support provided by peers, by teachers, by guides, supervisors, research fellows. They provide scaffolding, the temporary support which students get from their peers, get from their teachers, and they develop on their own. So these four or five things. Then practice, retrieval practice, low stake quizzes, think alouds. They also help the student to learn and practice the thing which he is trying to accomplish. So four important factors. They are activating prior knowledge, chunking, breaking down the complex information or complex chapter or complex idea into its parts will help the. Then graphic organizer, concept maps, Venn diagrams, writings, or say, so graphic organizers are not only printed or on the board. Graphic organizers also mental images which person can create. Scaffolding and retrieval practice is also very important. So what are the implications of cognitive views of learning for school teaching? Teachers should use stage appropriate teaching techniques. Active learning through exploration, scaffolding and gradual release of information, spiral curriculum designs starting from simple concepts to very complex thinking and very complex concepts. Then keep on assessing the reasoning and problem solving, not just assess the memorization abilities. So these are the 5 important implications for teaching which are based on cognitive views of learning. I will like to repeat: stage appropriate teaching, active learning through exploration, scaffolding and gradual release, spiral curriculum design, and assessment emphasizing reasoning, critical thinking, problem solving, not just checking memorization. Dear viewers, cognitive views of learning remind us that education is not about memorizing facts, it is about shaping minds to think, reflect, and continuously grow. Cognitive views of learning हमें याद दिलाते हैं कि एजुकेशन सिर्फ चंद मालूमात को याद करना ही नहीं है, बल्कि ज़हनी नशो नुमा, सोचने के अंदाज़, गौर व फिक्र के तरीके, नए से नए ख़यालात और तजर्बात और अशिया और मसाइल को हल करने का तरीका दरअसल सही ग्रो करने का, तरक्की करने का ज़रिया है। तालीम का मकसद इंसानी नशो नुमा, इंसानी सलाहियतों की ग्रोथ और मुसलसल इंसान की तश्कील और तामीर होता है। इस वीडियो को देखने का बहुत शुक्रिया। उम्मीद है कि ये आपके लिए एक मुफीद तजर्बा रहा होगा। थैंक यू वेरी मच।